Microsoft once had this huge, ambitious dream, one single app that could rule all of our devices. It was pretty controversial, and honestly, it completely changed Windows as we knew it. So today, let's unpack the incredible story of the universal Windows platform.
To really get this story, we've got to go back in time to a very specific and, for a lot of us, a really jarring moment. Remember this? You just upgraded to Windows 8, you clicked on an app, and bam! Your entire screen was just taken over by this full-screen touch-first thing. It was a bold move, for sure, and it was Microsoft's first huge gamble to solve a massive problem. How do you make Windows stay relevant in a world that was quickly being taken over by phones and tablets?
So, this new era kicked off back in 2012 with Windows 8 and something they called Metro-style apps. And let's be real, this wasn't just a new coat of paint, it was a total reinvention of what a Windows application was even supposed to be.
I mean, the difference was just night and day. On one side, you have your classic desktop app, that familiar window you can drag around, resize, you know the drill. And on the other side, you have this Metro app, this immersive, borderless experience that just consumed your entire screen. It was a design clearly built for tablets that suddenly landed on every single desktop PC.
And this new experience? Well, it came with a whole new rulebook. No title bars, no familiar window borders. Menus and scroll bars hidden until you kind of guessed where they were. And here's the kicker. These apps didn't even show up on your main taskbar. They lived in their own separate world. Plus, you could only run one of them at a time. For anybody who is a power user, this felt incredibly limited.
As you can imagine, the backlash from desktop users was, well, it was immediate and it was intense. To their credit, Microsoft did listen, and with Windows 8.1, they offered a small olive branch. They brought back the title bar, but it was hidden. You had to know to move your mouse to the very, very top of the screen just to make it appear. It was a step, I guess, but it really showed they were struggling with how to make these two completely different worlds live together.
All of this struggle, though, it paved the way for the next big evolution. When Windows 10 came around, Microsoft took all the lessons they learned from Windows 8, they refined the tech, and they rebranded the entire concept into what we now know as the Universal Windows Platform, or UWP.
Okay, so first, let's just clear up the names because, man, it got confusing for a while. This new app model started its life as Metro. Then it was briefly called Windows Store Apps, and finally, in 2015, it landed on Universal Apps as part of this big new idea, the Universal Windows Platform.
So, what in the world is UWP? Well, at its heart, it's a framework that lets a developer write one single application that can run on any device that runs Windows. We're talking your desktop PC, your phone, your Xbox, you name it. And all of them would be delivered through one central, trusted place, the Microsoft Store.
And with Windows 10, they fixed the biggest complaints people had about Metro. UWP apps, they now ran in normal, resizable windows right on your desktop. They showed up on the taskbar next to all your other programs. And hey, if you actually wanted that full-screen, touch-friendly experience on a tablet, you could just switch on tablet mode. It was really trying to be the best of both worlds.
And this, right here, brings us to the grand vision behind the whole UWP thing, the Universal Promise. For developers, this was like the Holy Grail. Write once, run everywhere. So the technical shift here is the really crucial part. Developers weren't coding for Windows 10 anymore, or for Windows Phone. Instead, their app would target something called a device family, like desktop or mobile or console. The app would then be smart enough to adapt its user interface for whatever device it found itself running on.
And just look at the sheer scope of this ambition. This one platform was designed to power apps on our PCs, our phones, the Xbox, the super futuristic HoloLens headset, and even teeny tiny little Internet of Things devices. It was an incredibly unified vision.
Now, beyond the UI and this universal dream, UWP brought some fundamental changes to how Windows apps were built, how they were delivered, and maybe most importantly, how they were secured.
A key piece of this was something called sandboxing. You can think of it like a digital playpen. Each UWP app runs in its own little isolated container, and it can't mess with the core system or with any other applications. If an app wanted to access your camera or your microphone or your files, it had to pop up and ask for your permission first. This made them fundamentally way safer than traditional software.
And this whole security model was tied directly to a new, much cleaner distribution process. A developer would code their app, bundle it up into a secure package, and upload it to the Microsoft Store.
Microsoft would check it out, and then we, the users, could download and install it from one central, trusted spot. No more hunting for random.exe files on sketchy websites.
The packaging itself evolved too. It started with a format called APPX back in the Windows 8 days, which was designed to unify packages for both phones and PCs. But this was later replaced by MSIX, which had an even bigger goal: to create one single modern package format that could replace not just APPX but also those classic .msi installers that we'd been using for decades.
All right, so after all of that change, all that ambition, where does UWP actually stand today? Let's take a look at the platform's lasting legacy and how it really shaped the Windows we're all using right now.
Now, the big turning point came in 2021. That's when Microsoft announced that UWP itself wouldn't be getting major new features anymore. Now, you might hear that and think, oh, so it's over? It failed? But that's not really the story. The platform isn't dead. Its core ideas have just been absorbed into the future of Windows. I mean, just think about what UWP gave us. The Microsoft Store? That's the UWP legacy. The whole idea of secure, sandbox apps that we use today, that's UWP's influence. This whole effort paved the way for the very latest Windows development tools. So even though the UWP brand might have faded away, its DNA is absolutely everywhere in the modern Windows experience. You know, the journey from Metro to UWP was really just one chapter in this long quest for the universal app. As our screens and our devices keep blurring together, that dream is actually more relevant than ever. The only real question is, what's going to come next?